is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die.
Now, there's something about using rapiers in video games that instantly makes me remember that scene. In my head, in the game, I become Inigo Montoya, except... fuck! I'm dead again. Hey, what's up you beautiful feckers? How you all doing? So, it's been a few updates since I last checked out Soulframe, and a few days ago their new Preludes 14 update dropped in game. Their pre-alpha 14 update, because it is a game, as Steve has put it multiple times, that is still on Tutorial Island. Now, Preludes 14 officially added the Wreck of Mestra Carmo, the Duelo Pact, the Rapiers, the Siege of Mirifuir, a Fallen Ode'n Skytower dungeon preview, so a new dungeon tile set that's coming with enemies that might look a little bit familiar from Warframe, Orlick's new progression path, plus some joinery, rune, journal and votive improvements. But because I haven't played since Preludes 12, it meant that I had 2 updates worth of content to enjoy, and they have added and changed a fair amount since I last jumped into the game. So let's jump in and start with the good stuff.
Yeah, here we go.
I am the chosen one, I'm the king. Oh, music. Okay, music. So, the big one is the Wreck of Mestra Carmo, which is basically the new story fable. This is where you're chasing blue ribbons up and down shipwrecks on the coast, following the wreckage, crafting what you need, and stepping into duels with a spectral Mestra Carmo herself, which feels like she's teaching you how to use the new pact like you're her student with each battle and each time you fight her. And then you finish the quest and you're working towards the new Duelo Pact, which is the new Duelist class, and the Rapier, which is the Navala, which is honestly one of the coolest themed packs that they've added into the game, which is an elegant Swordmaster class. And it looks pretty nice. First ability is a flintlock for your pistol shot kind of burst, which is based off the courage votive. Second ability is bravado, which is basically going to boost the highest virtue of nearby allies, which I think is based off grace. It scales off grace. And your third ability is the duelo, which is, it will create ghostly double versions of yourself which will mirror your attacks, and this scales off spirit. Then you have the passive effects, which lean into perfect dodges that give you potential bleeds on enemies, and also can leave a decoy that enemies will attack instead of you. So the whole thing feels like it is built for players who want a bit of style, maybe a bit of class, fluid movement, and a bit of swagger, instead of just bonking enemies on the head with a big sword or stick, or shooting them with a bow or with your staff. And them adding rapiers as a proper weapon type is honestly really enjoyable, because they are very fast weapons. And I will say this, they also seem to have a nice amount of stagger attached to them. Enemies can barely get to attack you with the amount of stagger you hit them, especially because of the runes or totems you might have on at the same time. But because they attack very fast, and overall, the attack animations that they have in the game for them are just really satisfying to use. Now, in terms of armour sets, if you're into your fashion, they've also added the Mestra's uniform, they've also added Orlick's pensive set as well, so it is taking that additional step further into having more fashion frame, just in a different game. Now, Orlick, like I said at the start of the video, has had his journal updated, and he's basically the old ghost man, your ancestor who has the baby, hooded baby on his shoulder, and he finally matters more, I guess, than he does when you first start the game, because Prelude 14 gives him a progression path through Nightfold sagas and challenges or tasks that he's going to send you out into the world in order to complete, and it's going to give you little buffs and, I guess, benefits to your spectral sight as well. That means that you've got a better long-term player, for newer players especially, and veterans, I guess, to engage with, to give you something extra to do in case you've got everything done already. But it will teach new players to learn more about where they have to go for certain tasks, or where they have to farm, or what certain things in the game will do. So it teaches you about the ode, about the wildlife, about your ancestry and your connection to the world, which is exactly the kind of stuff that new players will need, because the game, up until I guess maybe 2 preludes back, or maybe 3, has lacked a lot of direction. It's been very much jump in, explore, level up weapons and enjoy the world, with no real progression as to this is where you go, this is what you do once you had any of the, I guess, the sagas, the stories actually done. So you were left to do what you wanted. Now you've got a bit of extra stuff to do because of Orlick's journal. Now the update also added the new Siege of Mirifuir, which is a place that looks like we definitely shouldn't invade it, but we're fucking going to anyway. And this is one of the stronger pieces of content that they've added, because it's not just a spectacle, because it looks awesome up on the cliff with the huge towers and everything, but basically you're left climbing through its keep, dealing with bosses and I guess the summon forces that they bring. And this keep more or less has 3 different zones. So you'll go into the lower one first, you'll fight the boss, then you'll fight the minions. Then once you kill him, you move up a level to the next courtyard, you defeat the boss that's there with its minions. And then when you get to the top of the keep, all 3 bosses will be there because you never truly killed them. They're left with a kind of sliver of health. So you end up having to kill all 3 of them in order to get, I guess, the loot at the end of that siege. And it is a really fun siege. Bosses do hit relatively hard. I haven't ran the Koga version of it yet, so I can't wait to do that. But once you complete it, you can earn fragments of the new weapons, like the other new rapier, which is the Esperada. So it is an event that you can go and continuously farm every... I can't remember what the cooldown is on it, whether it's 3 hours. But you can basically farm it in order to try and get that new weapon. Then they've also added the Fallen Skytower preview dungeon, which is on the coast. And it's a really quick dungeon with one boss that might look like a familiar enemy that's from Deimos, one of those infested. But like I said, it is a preview of what is coming with those Sky Towers in the future, a new dungeon tile set. And these corrupted Sky Towers are basically fallen structures, but apparently they're going to shift inside. There'll be new enemies inside them. There is also the Rovgot worm boss lurking in there right now, which is something that you can fight continuously over and over again. And if DE expands this properly, it could end up being one of the more interesting, I guess, repeatable spaces in the game, or repeatable dungeons, because it has got a very creepy kind of vibe to it. Then there is a bunch, I guess, of quieter quality of life improvements that have added to Soulframe as well. Like I said, the journal has been improved, so it tracks your fables better, your votives, and of course your tales, and it also shows more rewards and more lore for what you can do in the enemies tab or the foes tab, and it gives players, I guess, more information, a bit like the codex in Warframe, right? Now, the votive system and the Sparrow Tales have also been cleaned up, easier managed, more visibility. You can now pick up your quests from those Sparrow Tales just by interacting with any of the world trees. And I can't remember if that was update 13 or 14, but it wasn't there in 12, and it is a really nice change to just go up to a world tree, interact with it, pick up the 3 Sparrow Tales, the quests for the factions, run them, and then go back to the tree and pick up new ones. On top of that, Verminia has had customization options added as well to give you better, I guess, palette distinctions and colours if you're someone who is into fashion frame in games. If someone like in Warframe, they're used to your Captura and you really enjoy that, then they're slowly adding more fashion items or more fashion options into Soulframe as well to cater for you guys. Joineries have been very heavily simplified around just adding attunement pips now for Courage, Grace or Spirit. So you'll find maybe a blessed joinery and it will be twice blessed or thrice blessed, so they'll have 3 kind of pips for Courage, Grace or Spirit on it, or 2 pips, and then once you add it into that weapon will then scale higher based off those either Courage, Grace or Spirit amounts, the blips that you have on it. So it's much easier to understand, much cleaner, but it is much more simplified than it was before. So it'll still increase the damage of those weapons, but you're going to shift what attunement you want that weapon to be focused on based on, I guess, the Pact or the class that you're running, and based what it scales off, or the ability you're going to be focusing on scales off as well. Now, they've also changed how your runes charge. They're now charged by smiting enemies, and then when you build up a full charge, you cast it or release it by using a fully charged heavy attack or a fully charged shot, depending on what weapon you're using. Now, the only problem with this is certain weapons in the game you could hold a charged shot for, so that you could line it up correctly, like the bows, or even if a staff, if that's what you were doing with that. That's a lot more complicated now. You can't really do that now, because as soon as you do a fully charged holding that shot down, it will instantly use your rune attack, so it will. So maybe that's something that they'll have to look at again further down the road. Maybe have a designated input tied to just your rune attacks and not have it attached to your heavy charge at the same time. Now, that's pretty much Preludes 14 in a nutshell. The actual content side of things is really strong. Mestra Carmo is cool. The Duelo class or Pact is really stylish. Rapiers feel really fun to use. Mirifuir is a really nice addition to Sieges. Orlick finally has some real value and progression tied to him, and the Sky Tower preview of that dungeon has a lot of potential. I really like the grim dark, or I guess the creepy kind of vibe that that dungeon has, and the quality of life improvements of course are always badly needed. The only thing is the rune activation feels a little bit off. Now I know they've also tweaked some of the other pacts, like the Bromius one doesn't hit as hard as it used to. The Tethran one, which was really powerful in Preludes 12, they've had to, I guess, reduce the damage of its first ability. So they're also balancing a lot of the pacts as time goes by, and maybe that might be something that'll piss players off, because they're used to having something that is ridiculously powerful. Now I believe Bromius was one-shotting bosses, so it makes sense to balance him down. And I know Tethran, back in Preludes 12, I was using it a lot, and it was allowing me to one-shot a lot of the Koga bosses, so they had to reduce that down. It is pre-alpha, so a lot of things are going to change consistently through its lifespan until it gets to its full release, or even until it goes into open beta. They have a dev stream this Friday, so if you're interested in jumping into Soulframe and you don't have access to it yet, and you're on PC, because it's not on console yet, and it probably won't be on console for a while, but if you want access to it, all you'll have to do is watch their dev stream for 30 minutes. You will get access then. You'll get a key sent to your account on Twitch, which you can then just input on the Soulframe website, and you will be able to jump in yourself and test it out and see what you think of it. I also believe TennoCon, they're probably going to be showing off the mounts, the wolf mount. Judging by the trailer that they teased, it looks like we might finally be getting those added into the game and being able to finally, I guess, use your mount to run across Alka and not be fast travelling everywhere. But let me know in the comment section below what you think of Soulframe. If it is a game you're looking forward to jumping into whenever you do get access, if it's your kind of vibe or not. Warframe, very fast paced. Soulframe, much slower paced. So you're not going to like both, or maybe you will. Either way, have a great day, have a great week, and as always, thanks for watching.